To paraphrase Sally Field's Oscar award-winning acceptance speech, you love me. You really love me. Of course, a lot of you out there are going, Sally Field, she won an Oscar? Yes, if you happen to be on Jeopardy, folks, and the big board has that question of who or what movie did Sally Field win an Oscar for? The answer, Alex, is what is Norma Rae when she gave that ridiculous speech? But you do love me for one reason. Here on the video reports, I have hit 21 of my last 28 free picks over the past 15 days. And in that stretch, I've gone 6-0 with the NBA freebies. In fact, I'm already 3-0 within my NBA final plays, and you've gotten them all here on the video report. And how good was I with my breakdown and my analysis in games 1, 2, and 3? You know I nailed it right on the button. Well, I've got your Game 4 freebie coming up in just a moment, plus a couple of baseball free selections as well on the White Sox, Tigers, the Orioles, and the Blue Jays. That's all coming up later in this report. You know, guys, one thing that people have asked me many times over the years, well, 2 questions actually. 3 questions. Are you a bookie? That's number 1. Number 2 is, how did you get into this business? And then number 3, well, how did you make a name for yourself in the business? And really, number 3 is the most important thing. A lot of guys get in this business and they can't last 3 months. Some of them can't last 3 weeks. I've been doing it for over 20 years. But the key really was back, I told you this before, back in '89, I went to Atlanta to create and publish a sports gambling magazine. And after 9 months, it folded. So I then took over the marketing and advertising for all the free score phone networks the company ran. And yes, folks, back in the days before computers, before cell phones, before the internet, people wanted to get their scores on gambling. For gambling purposes, they would call a telephone number and for free get a rundown of all the scores spliced in with a zillion ads for 900 numbers, which I controlled. And that's how the company made like $22 million a year at that time. And that's how people would get their free scores back then. At the same time, we decided, well, we had this huge audience calling the free score phones. Let's start a football tip sheet. So I started one, and I called it the Player's Preference Playbook. And this particular thing, I wrote every college preview, every NFL preview. I mean, stat logs updated on a weekly basis. I did it all. In the infancy of desktop publishing, I was there with my little Apple black and white Mac, which was like revolutionary at the time, laying this all out, bringing it to the printer, and then I did the mailing as well on Monday nights. And the amazing thing was this. I would work my regular shift on Friday. I would go home and sleep on Friday night. And then starting Saturday morning, I'd start previewing the games. I'd start writing them up, doing my research. Remember, before the internet, it wasn't like you could just pop into the Little Rock Gazette and find out how Arkansas was doing that for that week's game in the SEC. You know, it just didn't happen that way. I would work straight through Saturday. I'd go home Sunday morning, catch a couple hours of sleep. Boom, Sunday, work through Sunday night, through Monday at my regular job. Monday night, 9 o'clock, I'm at the airport. So I slept about 6 hours over a 2.5, 3-day period. The tip sheet was successful. But what really made it work was we started a nationwide radio show, which I created, I syndicated, I hosted, called the Friday Night Quarterback. And I was in 26 of the top 40 markets in the country. And I broke down all your games every Friday night from a point spread perspective for 2 hours. You see how quickly I talk? I used to take 25 to 30 callers easily in that 2-hour stretch. Okay? And it was a wildly successful show. It went for a couple of years. And at the time, the guy I was working for, he wanted to quit the tip sheet after quitting the radio show. I thought it was a bad move on both parts, but it wasn't my purse strings to control. So I made him a deal because I looked at a tremendous money-making opportunity that was out there. I wanted to keep doing this tip sheet. So I told him, I said, hey, look, I want to do it. He was reluctant because he didn't want me to make any extra money. No. With a company making $22 to $25 million a year, which he was gambling all the profits away, eventually went broke and had to sell the company, in fact, he was very reticent to allow me an opportunity to go out and make money on himself. So I figured this guy's a big-time gambler. I'll make him a bet. I said, if I could do this, you know, what would it mean to you in order to, what would be the word successful? How would you define it? So I told him, I said, I can get 1,000 customers for this. He said, you're not going to get 300 customers for it. He said, if you get 1,000 customers, it's yours. You can have it lock, stock, and barrel. Within 2 months, I had over 1,200 customers because he underestimated how many people liked me doing the radio show. And without the radio show, here was the tip sheet. So I did that for like 5 years until it almost killed me. And that's really what made my reputation in this business because, you know, there are a few tip sheets still out there. There are a few guys that still do it. My top plays in a 5-year stretch in football and college and NFL combined hit at 65.8%. And that's when I killed the tip sheet. because my son was born, and I thought, there's more things in life than making all this money. But that's really how I made my mark in this industry. It's really carried. Would I ever do that again? Never. I had to be nuts. Thank God I was young at the time. But anyway, I digress. Let's get to the good stuff. By and large, it has been a phenomenal NBA Finals for all the handicappers here, and that's why you see so many guys coming with max wager plays or pressing the action with even bigger plays. Well, just as I did on Tuesday for game number 3, I'm going to do it again for you today. I promised you I would. I'm going to deliver. You know my philosophy. You don't have to spend big money to make big money. And guys, again today, buy one handicapper's play and get the plays of 2 other handicappers of equal or lesser value absolutely free. You make the initial purchase, then you contact customer service, say, hey, I bought Jeff Benton, give me Scott Delaney and Brian Rosica or whoever, and they will then add them to your account. Give them 10 minutes because they're going to get overwhelmed today with this response as they have the previous 3 times I've done it. But guys, look at among the handicappers you can choose from. Jeff Benton, 5th ever 200-dimer in the NBA, just hit a 200-dimer with the Spurs in game number 3. He's got all these 200-dime plays in the last 2 rounds of the playoffs, and he's hit them all. Scott Delaney, who yesterday you got his 200-dime winner on the Colorado Rockies as a $1.30 home dog. First one ever in the baseball. He has his first one ever in the NBA tonight. The total for tonight's contest. You got Brian Rosica looking for his 8th straight Finals winner over the past 2 years. You got Brad Wilton with 100-dime winner on the NBA play tonight. You've got Shawn Michaels, who on Tuesday night hit a big 100-dime play, his 4th straight winner, which you got at a discounted price. He's got his cheap chalk game of the year. So you've got a lot of opportunities here, a lot of handicappers to choose from. And again, buy one handicapper, get 2 free. Speaking of Shawn Michaels, going for winning day 100 out of 157. Over the past 12 months, $10 bettors have won over $26,000 following his betting advice. Actually, I think that's 27, come to think of it, but we'll have to check on that. But tonight, 100-dime baseball, cheap chalk of the year, matches his 100-dimer on the Cardinals, 1-0 at Tampa Bay that you got on Tuesday night for just $9. This one, a $9 payout. I didn't say that correctly. $9 payday payout. And I dare you to say that 3 times quickly. $9 payday payout. Phew. Sean9 is the coupon code, SEAN and the number 9. Trace Adams raised the bar, 1,500-star NBA winner number 3 in a row. Top-rated 1,000-star play is usually his best bet. It's the Spurs Heat over-under equals his game 3 total on the over, which you got for $7.77. It's also the triple play of the day again today at $7.77 from Trace Adams. Coupon code TRACE777. It is that easy. Okay, let's get to the game here tonight. Listen, guys, I'll be honest with you. My best bet tonight is actually going to be the side selection in the contest. But I like the total equally as much. Listen, as I pointed out to you, I laid out game number 3 pretty well. I thought the keys for the Spurs in this one was to get the motion offense going. I thought Greg Popovich would make some changes in his lineup. He did, taking down Thiago Splitter and putting Boris Diaw, who is a much better passer and a more active offensive player, into the lineup at power forward. And that Kawhi Leonard, who had been the invisible man after playing so well in the finals a year ago, had just, 9-point average in the first 2 games and really didn't do anything in terms of getting abused by LeBron James. I thought that he had to show up. Well, he certainly did with a career-high 29 points, and the Spurs, as you saw, won 111-92. But I think game number 4 tonight is the antithesis of game number 3. I don't see the Spurs coming out and hitting 19 of their first 21 shots. I don't see the Spurs hitting nearly 76% in the first half. I don't think the Spurs hit nearly 59.5% for the entire game. And I also don't think LeBron James is held to 22 points like he was by Leonard in game number 1. Instead, what I think you're going to find here is a defensive battle. I think you're going to see a low-scoring game in this one. I think that the Heat realize that they cannot run when the Spurs go small, and they're going to tune it up defensively. And I think you're going to see a more deliberate pace in this game, which means to me it stays under the total of 197. Now, maybe that's lunacy when you consider that these 2 teams combined for so many points in game number 3. But again, I think this is more like game number 2, which the Heat managed, of course, to pull off with that big defensive stand down the stretch. I think it's a low-scoring game. I think both teams will be challenged to get out of the mid-90s in this one. And again, this game is going to stay under the total of 197. That's the way I think it goes. Now, in baseball, How can you not take the Blue Jays and Mark Buehrle tonight? The team has won 11 of his 13 starts, including all 6 of his road outings. He already won at Baltimore, 11-3 back on April 13th, 7 innings of 5-hit, 1-run ball. Overall, his personal record in those 6 road starts, again, all Toronto victories, 5-0 with a 1.47 ERA. And listen, in those outings, the Blue Jays have scored 37 runs, and the opponents have only managed 10 in those 6 games. Okay, Kevin Gausman going for the Orioles, making his second start. Listen, he did make his Major League debut last year in May against the Blue Jays in Toronto, and they hit him pretty hard, 7 hits and 4 runs. So even though the Jays have lost 4 out of 5, scoring just 7 runs and getting shut out 3 times in that stretch, this is still a team that had won 20 out of 24 before hitting that tough stretch, and they've won 11 out of the last 12 on the road. And I'm getting Mark Buehrle at practically pick 'em money tonight, so I'm going to take Toronto. The other play, I thought the Tigers were the way to go, but I'm going to go with the White Sox tonight, minus 115 at home with Max Scherzer on the hill for the Tigers. Chris Sale going for the White Sox. Scherzer, 7 road starts this season, ERA over 4.5 runs a game. At home, at Comerica Park, it's just a tad over 2. Now, it is true the Tigers have won 8 of his last 10 starts, and it is true that Scherzer has always pitched very well against the White Sox. In his last 9 starts against them, he's 7-1 with a 2.18 earned run average, including giving up just 1.5 runs a game on average in his 2 starts against them this year, both wins. But Scherzer comes in here struggling. 6.84 earned run average in his last 4 starts. The Tigers have lost 8 out of 10, 3 in a row. Hell, they've lost 16 of their last 22 games, and they've lost 4 straight on the road. Big game for the White Sox, who have taken the first 2 games in this rain-shortened series. You know, they're only 2.5 games behind the first-place Tigers. And I like the way Chris Sale is pitching. 4-0 and 6 home starts with a 1.93 earned run average, 46 strikeouts, 7 walks, and just 15 hits allowed in those 6 home starts, which have covered 37 innings. I mean, that is impressive, okay? Chicago, as I said, take the first 2, 8-2 and 6-5 the past couple of nights, and I think the White Sox are the way to go here, especially with the way they're hitting. So I'm going to go with the White Sox as your other free pick. That'll do it, guys. Best of luck to you all, and I will catch you again on Friday.